now. Listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody. Showtime.
Exclusively on 99.3.
7 after 3 o'clock on the 3rd day of October in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, back on a Merciful Monday. I think that's a good name for Monday. We all need mercy all the time, but Monday just seems like we need it a little bit more. And we appreciate your mercy and your grace today as we get ready to bring the gospel to you in so many different ways. This is not, just so you know, this is not your grandmother's Christian radio station. Obviously, you just heard me on it. We're a little bit more in your face. We're a little bit more... I learned a new word this weekend, Chris. We're a little more orthodox than heterodox. No? Terry, do you know that word?
I wouldn't agree with that statement.
But am I using the right term? Heterodox? Heterothology. Heterology?
That's a new one.
Anybody in here know what I'm talking about? Verse? You don't?
No.
Okay, well, I'm getting it wrong because you'd all know it because it's typical Lutheran stuff. You have an Orthodox church, and then you have I thought it was heterodox. No? Okay, never mind.
I think that's a word, but I don't know. What does heterodox mean to you?
Bob, would you look up the word heterodox?
Why did you use it if you don't know what it means?
Well, now I'm embarrassed because I've got 5 Bible scholars in front of me, and none of you know what I'm talking about.
That word's not in the Bible.
Heterodox?
Yeah, it's not in there.
All right, Bob, you look that up.
So, but what does it mean to you, Mac?
There are 2 kinds of Christian churches. There are the Orthodox. Go ahead, Bob.
Heterodox.
Heterodox.
Not conforming with accepted or orthodox standards or beliefs.
That's Jesus' new name for me.
Heterodox?
Heterodox.
Yes. That I agree.
Go.
I agree with. I thought you were making the other. This show is not orthodox by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. That's my point. So
insane and bizarre things I have to apologize to my Christian friends are said on this radio program.
Insane-odox?
It's insane-odox. Why don't we just make up our own word?
When was the last time you had to... I'm serious. I want to know the answer.
This morning via email.
You had to apologize for me this morning?
Mm-hmm.
What did I say that you had to apologize?
Well, I can't say it now because then, I'd have to apologize again for bringing it up. It was that bad. I can't even give the example.
No, here's what I want. I want a public rebuke right now on the radio. I want that listener, whoever he or she is, I want them to know...
I apologized on your behalf. No, I'm sorry. I didn't apologize. I had to justify your existence.
Wow, you and my mom. Okay, but what did I do? Because we didn't talk about this before we got on
No,
here.
we didn't.
Okay,
it was my favorite conversation topic.
Well, but I think it's important that whoever the listener was that chose to lodge a complaint, a concern.
Well, basically,
that you rebuke me publicly on the radio.
Well, I didn't rebuke you privately either. What I said to the
hold on, let me get out my whips and what are those little iron things, Fritz? You put in the whip. Jesus put in the whip when he tore up the
scourge.
Is that what it was? What?
Was it the cattails? Is that what he's thinking
the
of?
little metal things that gets into the okay
into the flesh.
Ouch! Please, Chris. Ouch! Mr. Roloff. Ouch! Please stop whipping me with the ouch whip. With ouch metal things.
But you said, thank you, sir. May I have another?
All right, so what did I... Go ahead and rebuke me. Go ahead.
I don't know if you're hearing me. I'm not going to rebuke you.
So the listener was wrong?
No, what I said to the listeners, I had to explain why it's okay that Max says weird things sometimes. It's okay that Max says weird things, sometimes theologically different, and asks difficult questions sometimes because... on this program especially, we have an opportunity to be challenged. Individuals have an opportunity to be challenged. Think about something they've never had to think about before.
Did Ryan Jorgensen call and complain about me again?
No.
I got the answer.
No, what?
It's because it's Mac's World.
I like Frank's answer.
I like that.
I like Frank. Jebediah, you get the final vote.
I'm
Should I be
confused.
rebuked on the air or not?
Let he who has.
How about this? Let the Lord decide.
Okay.
He is who is without
Should
sin.
we
cast the
all
first
sit
stone.
here and wait until God says something?
He's already told me that I should be publicly rebuked. You should honor the listener and tell the audience what it is the listener didn't like and then publicly rebuke me. Either that or act like a Catholic priest and take me out and damn me in public.
But I didn't privately rebuke you. Why would I publicly
What did
rebuke
you say privately then? What did you tell the listener?
I thought I just said it. Maybe you weren't listening.
I was listening. I just didn't hear you.
Oh, okay. I was just saying that on your show, things are different. Things get said that are different. People bring up ideas and express ideas that may not fit in our everyday normal thinking. And so someone brings something up biblically or thinks of an idea and asks a question, and it hits a listener and it shocks them, and they say, well, that can't be right. That's not right. That's not what the Bible says. The Bible clearly says this. And that's a good response. That's a good reaction. And what I said to the listener was, that's what we want. What we want people to do is, if you believe that the Bible says something, I want you to be able to defend it. And that's okay. So this is a safe place. Mac's World is a safe place where we can talk about things that are not necessarily orthodox, or we can talk about things that are a little bit off the beaten path, or we can
Heterodox.
we can ask difficult questions, and we can be wrong in Mac's World.
So what was it that the listener was complaining that I had done wrong?
Well, you've since repented, so what does it matter?
Oh, is it on the hell thing?
No, it's not on the hell thing. Or, well, I don't know what you mean by the hell thing.
It was on Satan repenting.
Yes, you had a desire in your heart that the rule and the reign.
But that was like a week ago. What's the listener doing? On Geritol, just getting around to the push button dial phone. Hello, Alice. Can you ring me 99.3 KTIA? What?
What was those two neighbors that Samantha and Darren had on the old Bewitched show that was always...
Alice
Kravitz.
Kravitz. Alex and, no.
Alice Kravitz.
What was his name? George?
George. He was always stone-faced.
Yeah, poor George. It was George that first said marriage is a wonderful institution if you like living in institutions. And when you looked at Alice, you knew what he was talking about. All right, well, let's stop wasting time because Mr. Roloff's refusing to do his job as station manager and publicly rebuke me because I want to just publicly rebuke myself because I thought for about a month, maybe the best way to bring a total revival to the planet was rather than trying to convert 7.4 billion people to Christianity, let's just convert one. He knows the Bible. He knows God. He's been there. All he's got to do, but I'm not going to do it again because then you'll get another complaint. You don't want any more complaints, do you?
What's that now?
Okay, my special guests for the entire show today are two of my favorite people in the world. The first one, Fritz Trost, and Fritz has a ministry called Mobilize, and Fritz just got back from India, like the whole country. He gumped it. What was that name? Forrest Gumped it. You ran across India, right?
Trains, planes,
and automobiles. Yeah. And then also Terry Butler from SWIM, SWIM, which stands for
Safe Water International Ministries.
Yeah, and what they've done is they've come up with this doohickey that's about $50 to build, 9 parts, and it comes with a motorcycle battery and a little box, like a carrying box. And you can clean hundreds of thousands of gallons of water with one of these little devices anywhere in the world. Is that right?
You can make enough chlorine with one device for a whole village of 2,000 people, or if you use a different method, up to 10,000 people.
For how long?
Per day. I mean, it never wears out.
It never wears out.
Never wears out.
All right. And Fritz, you just got back from India, and one of the things you did, I want to hear about them all, but one of the things you did was you distributed these.
Yes, I did.
And you taught people how to use them.
Yes.
Have you drank the water that comes from one of these?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's fine.
It's okay?
It's the same way that we clean our water. In fact, the diseases they deal with in India are the same diseases that we dealt with here in the U.S. before we started to clean our water with the same chemical.
Okay.
Typhoid.
Yeah.
All these diseases stop through chlorine in the water, which kills the bacteria. It's very, very simple. It's like the simplest thing that we can do.
But it's like electric chlorine, though.
Well, no. It's essentially taking sodium chloride, which is salt water, and it splits the chlorine molecules apart from the sodium and then lets the chlorine do its thing, which is it attacks bacteria and it kills the cell walls. And then, of course, that bacteria doesn't get a chance to multiply in your system.
Okay. All right. And this thing is about as big as what?
I'd say a water pitcher. It's
Water?
about as big a water pitcher is about as big as your Hy-Vee drink cup.
So
there.
my 42-ounce Hy-Vee water cup here.
Imagine that thing with a couple of wires coming out.
Okay, and the wires hook up to a battery.
Right, that's correct.
No electricity needed. Well, or other than the battery.
It's 12 volts and needs about 18 amps. And in that time, you can just basically run it through this system. You do it several times. You run the salt water through, and then you end up with chlorine that you can treat quite a bit of water. And we have information on teaching them how to use it, how to treat it, then how to test the water after it's been treated.
Well, and later on in this hour, we're going to take some water out of the Des Moines River, and then we're going to take some water out of the Des Moines River, and we're going to clean it, and we're not going to tell Frank which glass it is, and then Frank's going to drink out of both of them.
Okay. You do remember during the 90s...
And you have to drink 64 ounces of both waters.
You do remember during the 93 floods, the Alabama National Guard came to town and was pumping water fresh from the Des Moines River up to Mercy Hospital on 6th and University for fresh water during the floods of 93.
Yeah, I do remember that. All right, we're coming up on our first break. The folks from Swim Safe Water in...
International Ministries and Mobilize.
Yeah, Fritz and Terry and Roloff. Coming back.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I...
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Minutes after the hour, 3:21 on the third day of October on 99.3 The Truth. J. Michael McCoy, don't forget that if you really want to do the best deal you can on your house, and when I mean deal, I hope you know that buying or selling something is not eventually, it's not in the end, it's not about the price. It's not. It's about the terms. I could sell you a $1 million house. Seth Walker could sell you $1 million house, and if you had the right mortgage company and good credit, I don't mean great credit, but good credit, you could buy that $1 million house for a couple grand a month. Now, you'll be paying for it for a while, but you could live in $1 million house, but you need a good realtor, and Seth Walker is that realtor. Now, does that mean that if you make $28,000 a year and you're on poverty, that Seth's going to get you approved for $1 million house? No, we have to be smart about this. But in these days and times of all the regulations within government and banking, they have done some things that still allow you to buy more than you think you can afford. Because through proper financing, all of a sudden now, you can have your dream home. Call Seth Walker, 577-3728. That's 577-3728. Seth Walker, RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts with Rob Spearman here on 99.3. All right, my special guest today is Fritz Trost and Terry Butler. Terry is with SWIM, Sanitary Water International Ministries.
Safe Water.
Oh, safe. Thank you. I knew that. I'm just giving you a bad time.
I know.
And Fritz is with Mobilize. And Fritz just got back from India, training pastors, and also working with the SWIM folks, taking some of those doohickeys over there. What do you call CPUs?
CPU, Chlorine Producing Unit.
Yeah, but that's also a term for a computer.
Right, yeah, but this is not a computer.
Okay, well, I just telling you, that's the only way I remembered it, because now I remember CPUs. And so tell me, Fritz, about one of your experiences in showing some of these people in India how they can now have fresh and clean water for the rest of their lives for really nothing at all. I mean, the cost of a battery.
You know what I was struck by, Mac, is the simplicity of the problem. And the problem is the same in India as it is here in the U.S. And how I would characterize the problem is that you have churches that essentially are being effective at certain aspects of the gospel and certain aspects of church, but in other areas they're just missing the boat. And the same problem in India, you have believers who don't follow, is the same problem we have here. And so when we're talking about safe water, clean water, when we're talking about discipleship and the opportunity to do that there, what we did is we combined the safe water unit, or the CPU, chlorine producing unit, with authentic discipleship that's very simple, visual based. And we went at that problem where you have believers in Christ who don't follow. And so giving someone safe water is a great way of meeting a physical need. So I call it missional discipleship. That's a fancy theological word that I simplify in my ministry called Mobilize, and it's just faith in action.
Now, you said something a minute ago that I think is really interesting, and I'm starting to explore this, and we haven't talked about this yet, so obviously we're on the same brainwave. One of the things I'm discovering and is that there are a lot of believers out there who don't follow.
That's correct.
Now, are those believers, is another term for them cultural Christian?
I don't know about that. I think that there's just been an awful lot of sermons, and we met with large ministries over there. And there's an awful lot of preaching over there, as is over here, where it's basically the emphasis is on conversion. Change the way you think. But the problem is that changing the way you think about something doesn't really change your whole person. And we have Bible verses that talk about the renewal of your mind and things like that. But when we connect our actions, you show me your faith by your works. Now you're talking about a holistic picture of show me your beliefs, Mac, by something you did yesterday, for example.
But that's works.
No, it isn't. Because it's in James, it talks about it's faith and work. I'll show you my faith by my works, or I'll show you my works by my faith. It's an interconnected thing. Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount, you are a city on the hill. You are the light of the world. Let your good works be available, be visible, so that they will give glory to your Father in heaven. It's not supposed to be earning anything. It's just a response to salvation. It's a response to being transformed by the renewal of our mind. But we're transformed, we're saved, we're born again. And that should have something that I could indicate in your life. It didn't earn you salvation. It's like if someone gave you a gift, Mac. If I gave you a Christmas present, did you earn that Christmas present if I just gave it to you? No. But what if you never opened it and used it? What if it was a bicycle and you never rode it? That'd be ridiculous. You would be the proud owner of a bicycle that maybe would last forever. But if you never used it, would you really have received that gift in its true intent?
No.
If your heart has been transformed, that's a revelatory gift. I say that salvation and the first 4 steps of what we teach, called followership, are a gift from God. The first 4, lost, saved, baptized, new creation. Those are a gift from God. We do nothing to earn it. The responsive part of that is the next 4, and that is follow, worship, multiply, kingdom. So we've taken the Christian faith and tried to identify what are 8 basic elemental steps of the Christian faith, and how can we teach those all across the world. That is a response. So back to your point about earning, our works only indicate what we really believe. And we've divorced in some way what we think with what we do because we're afraid from the Protestant Reformation, we're afraid of works because of the Roman Catholic emphasis on works, pietism, things like indulgences. Martin Luther's 95 Theses were mainly, if you really read them, they're about indulgences, which was robbery and some sort of papal balm to be able to get money. It was extortion. And so we have this allergic reaction to works, and we shouldn't have it. It should be just something natural out of who we are.
Fritz Trost from Mobilize is here, and Terry Butler from SWIM, which is Safe Water International Ministries. And this is a ministry that I've been asked to be a part of when I take my trip to Jerusalem over Christmas holiday this year and broadcast live from just the coolest place. Where would be the coolest place to be in the whole world on Christmas Eve?
The place where they believe Jesus was born.
Yeah, Bethlehem.
Bethlehem.
And that's where we'll be broadcasting live from. There's a brand new Christian church that Holy Land Ministries have planted. This is not one of those tour trips. I'm not going to give you a number you can call and sign up for. We're not doing this as a tour. There's no promotion. If you're waiting for the other shoe to fall, what's he trying to sell me? What's he want me? I don't want you to do anything. I'm just telling you this is what we're going to do. We're going to broadcast live our regular show Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then on the 24th, we're going to do the Christmas Eve program live from the Bethlehem Christian Church, brand new there, just planted. While I'm over there, I'm going to teach some pastors and some other people about this Safe Water International Ministry, which is this doohickey. You have a CPU, which has 9 parts to it. The only reason I know that is because I'm going to help assemble them, because that's what you can do. Kind of like you do with Meals from a Heartland. You can go as a group and sign up and assemble so many of these. And we're going to take those over and we're going to show people how living water, fresh water to drink, turns into living water. And that's the Christ. 515-244-0077. That's the number if you'd like to call and join us today. Frank, you had a comment?
Yeah, Fritz is right about the indulgences thing. I mean, it was basically teaching that sin was for sale, in essence.
Yeah, and Luther had this great line where he said, "Hey, if you as a priest can forgive sins with an indulgence, why don't you do it for free?"
Right.
And it was such a great line, and it just is the essence of asking a question. Wait a minute, this is authority at its worst, and this is obvious extortion, and it gets messed up in the church all the time. And the Bible is the only thing that can bring us back to the center.
Well, indulgences went kind of hand in hand with purgatory. And then there was another scam that went around the countryside where monks would go around begging, called beggary. And basically, you know, they lived in the lap of luxury, but they were running around scamming as paupers and begging from the peasants to just continue to fill the papacy's coffers.
Yeah, and it's all done with this intention, and that's where it gets messed up. And so following Jesus Christ in terms of knowing his voice, as I was teaching in India, you know, these people have nothing. So when we're giving them something, we're actually, this is appealing to a lot of people because we want to help these pastors, but we didn't give them money. We gave them a piece of equipment, and we also upped the ante. We said, you've got to find a battery. We're only going to give you a CPU if you have the wherewithal to get a hold of a battery. Now, you can go up to a motorcycle and just say, hey, can I borrow your motorcycle for 5 minutes?
Right.
Or you can pay a few bucks for a battery. But with what our plan was and what we were able to do is we were able to equip 90 pastors with one of these CPUs in their churches. So when people come to church, they can get some of this chlorine and take it home and use it.
If they had a fully charged battery and a nice new battery, how long would this unit operate on that before the battery would have to be recharged?
My experience was we made many, many batches over there without recharging our battery. I know, Terry, you might have a better...
Yeah, you can make about 5, maybe 6 charges through a charged battery. You can use a solar panel with a charge controller to recharge the battery. So if you have a standalone battery, you don't have to have a motorcycle with an alternator or a truck. So in the rural villages, like where we're working in Kenya and Uganda, we also provide funding to help buy a solar panel and a battery in country with a charge controller. So that becomes not only used for making chlorine, but in the evening it becomes a center for people to come together and study because they have light.
And do they kind of use that for also charging cell phones?
Not this battery. It doesn't.
They don't
generate,
have cell phones.
It doesn't generate enough.
Oh, yeah, cell phones.
A lot of them do have cell phones.
Really?
That's the amazing thing is what we're finding, and according to the research and my experience, many people in developing countries have cell phones. And they're able to do amazing things with them.
Yeah, but I don't understand that. It's a developing country. They live in poverty. They have dirt floors, and yet they have a cell phone?
Absolutely.
One of the reasons why I actually astounded when I found that out, too. One of the reasons why, and this is that it's easier to put up a cell tower than it would be to run electricity into these villages and these campsites. So you can put cell towers up, and then people can power these
They're
cell
not
phones.
great cell phones, mind you.
Well,
They're very rudimentary cell phones, and they're getting them basically cheap from wherever they're being made.
All right, we're coming back with Fritz Strost and Terry Butler with Swim. We're here live in Max World on a Monday, the 3rd of October. Thanks for listening.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our points are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
X Real Estate Concept Studios. This is Webcast 1 Live.
3:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then we'll be back next hour talking about Fritz Trost's trip mission to India, where he helped distribute some of the Safe Water International Ministries CPUs. And this is a small gadget. You'd hold it in your hand. It's made with 9 pieces, and you could learn to, hopefully you will learn to assemble one. And then what you do is you take sodium chloride?
Salt water.
Salt water. And you mix it in this, and eventually what you get is the chlorine that it takes for you to use droplets of chlorine in your regular drinking water that isn't safe, and now all of a sudden you can drink the water.
10 drops per liter.
10 drops per liter. Okay, that's not very much.
It's not very much.
No. And that gives people completely safe all the way around.
Completely safe. They really need to let it sit for about 15 to 20 minutes, and that allows time for the kind of chlorine smell to dissipate a little and then to work through the hole.
Now, does that clear the water?
No, it doesn't.
From a muddied look, or it just makes it safe to drink?
It just kills the bacteria. And when it's muddy, you need to double it.
Right.
So yeah. A lot of people will take you go down to the river and grab a bucket, and when you come home, you have another bucket and you put a T-shirt over the bucket,
right,
and you pour it through that to catch all of the organics, because the chlorine will tie up the organics. So you want to make sure you have adequate chlorine. So getting all that heavy stuff out, that yucky stuff, makes a big difference. And they do that anyway already.
What would happen if we'd put these drops into the water that comes out of my tap?
Nothing. I mean,
that water's already clean enough?
It's already chlorinated.
Okay. But it's not as clean as like reverse osmosis.
Well, reverse osmosis, it's actually a filtering process that takes out micro levels of lead and chrome and nitrates and other things. In this case, chlorine is just killing the pathogens.
Okay. And it's those pathogens that we don't want in our drinking water.
That's correct. E. coli, you don't want it in your drinking
Well,
water.
that's what's giving them
Diarrhea.
and all
Yep.
kinds of stomach ailments.
And when you're poor and you're sick, think about if you're a day laborer, which many of these folks are. Imagine when you're sick and then your family can't eat. It's a very serious. And so what I'm finding, you guys, that is really exciting to me is when we talk about caring for someone with works, which is some physical need, we're addressing and meeting a physical need. And you combine that with discipleship, it's a very powerful combination. And most of the time, it's one or the other.
Well, the common denominator for mankind is clean water.
Well, and it could be shelter. It could be, there's lots of ministries out there that are doing things to address a physical need. But what I'm really excited about with Swim is that we have this combination of missional discipleship or faith in action that is a really dynamic thing to experience.
Fritz Trost and Terry Butler are our guests, both with Swim and Mobilize. It's 19 minutes before the top of the hour. Remember, last Friday was 40 days out from the super election. And the good folks at the Family Leader would like you to pray at least twice a day for Focus 440. Now, that's hashtag Focus, the number 440. Or you can go to the website at if714.com. If714.com. They will take down your information, or you'll put it online. And then twice a day at 7:14 in the morning and 7:14 in the afternoon, they will deliver to you an email that is pertinent to the message of the day. It costs nothing. You can get it exactly free, but you got to do it. 515. Well, I guess there's not a number to call.
You just go to if714.com.
Yeah, there you go. All right. But you can call in anytime you want, 515-244-0077. Any questions for Mr. Butler or Mr. Trost as we're talking with them on SWIM, which stands for Safe Water International Ministry, and it's an opportunity for us to spread the globe, spread the globe with clean water, and then also the living water, which is the word which always comes next. Chris?
Well, I've got two real practical questions. Safe Water International Ministries, what's your website?
Swim for Him.
Swim for, is that F-O-R or the number?
It's for, F-O-U-R.
Oh, spelled out the number.
Yeah, for F-O-R, right?
Yep. Swim for him is .com?
Yep.
All right. And Fritz, what's your website? Do you guys have a website for Mobilize?
Ours, we have two websites that I want to mention. One, the Mobilize is tomobilize.org, T-O-mobilize.org. And then the specific discipleship tool is followership.com. Follow worship, FOLLOWORSHIP.com. And that's the discipleship tool. Mobilize is the ministry that says our focus is missional discipleship. So it's not discipleship as a spiritual endeavor only. It's also a physical endeavor of meeting physical needs, along with helping people become followers of Jesus Christ.
One of the things that, and we talked a little bit about this off the air, Fritz, that a lot of times Christians especially get into these ruts. I'm definitely one of them, and we get fat-headed. We get steeped with a lot of knowledge. We get steeped with a lot of information, and we you've noticed this, no doubt. We then begin to bicker about small things.
Exactly.
We begin to bicker about Calvinism, Arminianism. We get to bicker about these theological distinctions, and really what we're doing is we're just sitting around staring at our own belly buttons, getting fat-headed, and we call that discipleship. Mm-hmm. What I hear you talking about is something a little bit more like what Christ called us to do, is to actually to know him and to make him known throughout the world by actually going and living out. I like this combination of words, follow and worship, that our worship would be active, I guess is kind of what you're trying to get at, right?
Well, and it's, when I've studied Hebrew, and my dad, God rest his soul, he's been dead about a year now. He's a Hebrew scholar who prayed in Hebrew every day.
Wow.
And studied Hebrew his whole entire life, spent a lot of time in Jerusalem. And when you study Hebrew, you realize that one of the operating principles is that Hebrew always has a concrete meaning, as opposed to abstract. And our culture, the Western culture, influenced heavily by the Greeks, is much more abstract. And we easily get tend to go into ruts where we're talking about concepts, and concepts can have very little implication on our direct life. We don't have to do anything with a concept. But if we're talking about meeting a concrete need, we're talking about someone being born again. What does that mean to be born again? And when you start to look at these Hebrew concepts, what is the concrete implication of following Christ? Not just a concept. A concrete implication is something that you're doing to prove or to show that you're a follower of Jesus Christ.
One of the things Mac just mentioned 40 days before the election that we were praying for the election here in the United States. We're praying these last 40 days, and one of the verses when Drew Zahn was on here and he let us know about this campaign, one of the verses that came up in that discussion was James chapter 1 verse 5. It says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him." And here, this verse to me really speaks to what you're talking about. I had a eye-opening revelation, I guess, when someone explained to me that the word wisdom is more than an abstract idea. To Greeks, to Western people, we think of wisdom, and especially when we think of in praying, we think of some download of revelatory information. God, I pray that you would tell me who I should vote for, right? I want this divine revelation coming down. And someone said to me, James was a Jewish person writing to a predominantly Jewish audience, and the Jewish thought would have been, the Hebrew thought would have been, wisdom is living. It's application. It's how do I go about my life? How do I live? If we ask those questions, the word wisdom here, I think that's what someone told me, was that if anybody lacks the know what to do with my life, how should I live, how should I behave, that's what he means by wisdom, let he ask of God. And so God is actually going to call us to do things. Is that a good
perfect,
understanding?
because if you go over and look at James chapter 2, it talks about the sin of partiality, which is then amazing.
Hold on to that for just a second. I want you to come back to that when we come back. Terry Butler and Fritz Troster here with SWIM, Safe Water International Ministries. How can you help? Of course I'm going to tell you. It's coming up live here on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before the top of the hour, 3:50 on a Monday afternoon, the 3rd of October in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Thanks for taking the time to listen today. We're here every afternoon from 3 to 5. We're about halfway done, or halfway through, or we have more than an hour to go yet. Just depends on the old, glasses half full, glasses half empty.
Depends on what you're really feeling like. If you're waiting to be done, then yeah, we're almost done.
Yeah.
If you can't wait for this to continue, then we've only got an hour left. Let's just pack as much in as we can.
That's right, and that's my theory, right?
Yeah.
There.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Speaking of theories, do you know that sometimes unpleasant odors, including chlorine and that rotten egg smell in your pipes, can mean really something bad? It can mean years and years and years and years and years of buildup because you're not running a Culligan water system. Now, you think, well, a Culligan water system just helps me with my drinking water and makes the soft water when I want to take a shower. No, because all of that eventually goes down the drain, and only soft water can help save your pipes, get rid of some of those soapy tastes, sour, metallic tastes that sometimes you have in your water. Also removes dirt and silt and clay and other sediments, and provides a continuous supply of high-quality drinking water at your kitchen table. So the next time you want to think about the kind of water you're delivering to your kids and grandkids and to your spouse, man, you need to do something about that. And I'll tell you who to call.
Hey, Culligan Man.
Thank you, Frank. 274-2573. That's...
Hey, Culligan Man.
274-2573. Isn't he great? He's just like a
just pull the string.
Just a
feed me a
puppet.
quarter.
I just point and he says what?
Hey, Culligan Man.
See how well he does that? And if it's Seth Walker, I say, and the phone number is
577-3728.
Isn't Frank wonderful? It's not just his incredible knowledge.
And that's 515. You guys really love each other. I've seen this grow since last time I've been on the show.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I kind of feel like Jerry and what was his name? Dean. Jerry and Dean. They really grew together.
Jerry Lewis and
close.
Dean Martin.
Yeah, they were close at the end. Yeah, they both wanted to kill each other. And I know the feeling. Why do you make me work with him, Mr.
I don't know.
Roloff?
I don't know.
If I got somebody to call in and complain about Frank, could we get rid of him?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Bob, when you get home tonight, can you make that one voice that sounds like a woman and call in and complain about Frank?
No.
No. Oh, man, nobody's on my side. All right. Swim. Safe Water International Ministries. They have created this gizmo, 9 parts. We assemble it. They're all working parts. You hook that up to a car battery, motorcycle battery, something like that. Can you plug it into the wall?
If you have a converter, so like an old, you can take apart an old computer and use the power converter in that to charge and run the unit as well.
Okay. And it's about a $50 unit with the battery, and it allows you to take sodium chloride and make chlorine. And you can make the chlorine out in the middle of a field, out in the middle of a deathbed, in the middle of a desert. And you can make this stuff, and then 10 drops per liter in regular, fishy, stinky river water, 10 drops per liter, and you've got completely safe drinking water in 15 minutes.
It's true.
When you discovered this, you must have just been crazy.
Well, actually, we didn't discover it because if you go back and you look at 2 Kings, and in chapter 2, Elisha's first miracles, it says in verse 19, it says, "Now the leaders of the town of Jericho visited Elisha. 'We have a problem, my lord,' they told him. 'This town is located in a beautiful natural surrounding, as you can see, but the water is bad and the land is unproductive.' Elisha said, 'Bring me a new bowl with salt in it.' So they brought it to him. Then he went out to the spring that supplied the town with water and threw the salt into it. And he said, 'This is what the Lord says. I have made this water wholesome. It will no longer cause death or infertility.' And sure enough, the water has remained wholesome ever since." So all we're doing is discovering a principle that was created a long time ago by God.
And that was where in the Bible?
That's in 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 19 through 22.
Which is interesting because I think about some sort of power going on in that exchange as well, and really creating electrolysis, which is what splits apart the chlorine from the sodium, and this stuff that it makes, it doesn't last forever because if you were to buy the Clorox off the shelf, this is way different stuff than that. It's not. It doesn't have the bad stuff in there that gives it a high pH level. This is about a 7 pH. You can actually clean your hands with it. You can't drink it straight. You'll get sick. It won't kill you like Clorox will.
Chlorine.
Right.
Yeah.
So this chlorine that is actually pretty safe. And it has this biblical background of this story that I think is really interesting, because it all comes down to show me your faith by your works. And Chris talked about James 1, but if you go over to James 2, it says faith without works is dead. And I think that if we want to advance God's kingdom, we need to think about different elements we can add into our faith expression. And one of the most important things we can do is meet a physical need, and that's what swim is all about.
Safe Water International Ministries. I'm learning about it. I am going over to Jerusalem for the Holy Week, or not Holy Week, I'm sorry. Is it called Holy Week at Christmas too? Okay, Holy Week. And we will be broadcasting our show live. This show will be live in Jerusalem on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday afternoon. And then on Saturday, Christmas Eve, we will be broadcasting live from a newly planted Christian church. Where would be the coolest place to broadcast live on Christmas Eve?
My bedroom.
Oh, little town of Bethlehem.
I mean, that way I wouldn't have to get up. I could just stay in my room.
Keep digging.
Keep digging.
It was that bad of a comment.
It was that bad?
Yeah, it really was.
All right.
Yeah, we will be live. I mean, I cannot wait to say, on the Truth Network, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and it's Christmas Eve, 2016, and we're live where the baby Jesus laid in the manger. Live from Bethlehem on the Truth 99.3. I just get goosebumps thinking about that. But we're also going to be demonstrating and handing out these CPUs. That's not a computer, blah, 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 blah. It is a
chlorine producing unit.
And it is totally self-sufficient. It fits into a little, like a tackle box with a car battery of some, or not a car battery, a motorcycle battery of some kind. And you add sodium chloride and put the water in there, and boom, 15 minutes later, you have clean water, clean enough to drink. Yes, it's kind of a miracle, but after all, so is God, and that's why we follow him, because he is the man. He's the big deal. All right, we're coming back live here on The Truth. Fritz will continue to talk about his trip to India, and handing out these units. And I want to hear more about that. And Terry's here, Terry Butler, and he's going to talk more about how you can help, maybe here in a couple weeks, to assemble these, kind of like we do with Meals from the Heartland. We're going to do a deal where we assemble these, and you'll be able to participate in that if you want. If you want. If you don't have to. But I'll be sad. Live here on The Truth.